İş ortamında işbirlikleri veya beraber çalıştığınız firmalarla sohbet ederken hiç böyle yaşadığınız oldu mu? Hani o kişiyle sohbet ediyorsunuz ama sanki üçüncü cümleden sonra bir espri yapıp da beraber aynı şeylere gülebileceksiniz veya aynı şeyleri paylaşabileceksiniz gibi. Hiç öyle oldu mu? Daha yeni tanışmışsınızdır ondan sonra. Ama o üçüncü cümlede anlarsınız onu. Yani benzer bir kültür var, bir birikim var, oradan gelen bir yaklaşım var. Bizim öyle oldu. 2020'nin Mart'ı. Hatırlayan var mı 2020'nin Mart'ını? Meşhur Covid'in tam böyle başlayacak zamanı. Londra'dayız. Tabii şimdi Londra'nın ortamı, bizim buradan gitmemiz, orada nasıl karşılanacağımız hepsi böyle kafamızda soru işaretleri. Fakat o firmaya girdik. O kadar sıcak karşılandık ki yani sanki böyle bizden gibiydiler. Çok rahat konuşuyorlardı. İletişimleri çok keyifliydi. Sonrasında bu Covid nedeniyle onlarla olan ilerleyen sohbetimizden sizlere çok bahsetme şansımız olmadı. Onlarla aldığımız beraber çalışma kararından bahsetme şansımız olmadı. Ama bugün buradalar. Londra'dan kalkıp bu etkinlik için bize katıldılar. Ben sunumlarını yapmak üzere Jacqueline Lynch ve Pietro Leo'yu sahneye davet ediyorum.
Merhaba, everybody, and hello. That is the extent, unfortunately, of my Turkish, and that's where it will end today. But I hope that you can understand my Irish accent. I will try and speak slowly. Thank you all for joining us today here to talk about our experiences. It's an absolute pleasure to be standing in front of you all in Turkey. We've arrived on Sunday, and since then have drank many cups of tea and had many Turkish coffees with many different companies, and it's actually given us more of an experience than I thought it would in such a short period of time. My name's Jacqueline Lynch, and I'm the Business Development Director for A-Site. So my key responsibility is growth across the UK and Europe. And I've been working with Tolga and Ozan since they joined us in London 2 years ago. So I also have responsibility over our channel partners. So, you know, if any of our current customers are in the room and when you're asking Tolga and Ozan for something, we're on the other side trying to help them out and get A-Site up and running in the correct way for the region. I'm also joined today by my colleague who I'll let introduce himself.
Hi everyone, so I'm Pietro Leo. I'm the Vice President of Operations at A-Site. I've been there for about 4 years now, and we've got a great team who are based in London, but we also have regional offices all around the globe. So prior to working at A-Site, I actually worked in construction. So I worked in construction for 7 years, and I'm sure that I faced most of the struggles of a lot of people in this room, which has helped me to really see where A-Site can help out businesses like yourselves. So I essentially head up the services departments, consultants who support our customers with implementing our platform. What you'll find out a little bit later on is that our platform, there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of customization that can be done, and essentially that's what my team is around to do. Should we get started?
Yes, thank you. So the slides are in Turkish, so hopefully Tolga's translated these in a way that makes sense, and it also aligns with what I'm about to say. But what we're really here to do is tell you a little bit about our story, a little bit about our platform, and also some of the successes that we've seen utilizing our platform across the different regions that we operate. So I'm going to start at the beginning of A-Site, which was 21 years ago. So in 2001, A-Site was founded in London. One of our co-founders is the current CEO of the business today, Nathan Doughty, who unfortunately can't be here today. And I think that's a really important point because the fabric of A-Site and who we are and what we've been trying to achieve has remained within a key group of people who have worked all the way till now to develop a platform that has allowed evolution and growth within digital construction. So although we operate in London HQ, that's where we started out, we have moved into different regions and different globes. I'm going to talk through the timeline of our business, which I think explains the experience a lot. But where it all started really was in the marketplace and in the supply chain management piece. Sir John Egan is a very famous UK construction think tank, and he wrote a white paper back in 1998. And it heavily criticized the construction industry for a number of reasons in comparison to other industries. One being, the digitization of construction, the processes, the approach to collaboration, the approach to information management, how we treat our supply chains, health and safety conditions on site, and how we bring together these into some sort of fashion that people can deliver better to the customer. And so Sir John Egan actually sat on the chair of A-Site for a number of years and helped drive and grow our vision within the industry. And I think that's something that has been integral to what we've done today, because what we started out to do was quite narrow, and now what we do is actually quite a lot. And A-Site is a platform that's hosted on the cloud. It's a SaaS platform, so you access it via the internet. And in summary, the key point of having a system like A-Site is to give people information, and that's regardless of the device that they're using, whether it be a mobile device, a tablet, a laptop, and also regardless of the location that they're in, so that we can increase collaboration, drive efficiency, allow auditability, traceability, accountability, and ultimately optimize the construction process, which should deliver risk reduction because you know who's done what, when, why, and where. It should allow time saving because you're not double entering information or looking for lost information. And ultimately, that drives down costs. And we know that in construction, particularly in the UK, the margin's about 2%. So we're not talking about, a big margin to work with. In terms of reducing error, that's really, really important. We work with companies, across the globe. Here's some of our kind of key customers along the bottom, but I'm going to be talking about that in a bit more detail. I want to take you through the timeline first. So when we launched in 2001 in the construction marketplace, we started with digitizing supply chains. So how were people in construction going to get access to supply chains? Who were they going to work with? How were they going to know if these suppliers were good, bad, or indifferent? And that's where the product really started out in conjunction with 4 big contractors in the United Kingdom. One being Lang O'Rourke, who is one of the largest privately owned construction companies in the UK, who happily are still our customers today, 20 years later. And I think that's testament to how we've grown as a business to meet the needs of construction as it's changed. I think back in 2001, it's fair to say that digitization in construction, we were pushing it, but people didn't really want it or didn't really know what they wanted from it. And to be fair, that's the same today, depending on where an organization is in their digitization journey. And that's what we're there to support. So we started out in London, and we launched a big development hub in India, in Ahmedabad. So we have a team of R&D and development and support that our CEO and co-founders went out and set up. Our Chief Technical Officer also set that up and is back in London with us today, again, a long-standing member of the A-Site team. And really, as we go along the timeline, the offices opened in conjunction with where work began happening. So because our experience started to talk, people heard about A-Site, people moved about from projects, moved countries, and we grew around the needs of our customers. So we opened up the Australia hub in 2012, and we have since launched across Hong Kong and Vietnam and other Asian countries. We took the business private and have been in profitability for the last 7 years. We've been growing about 20% year on year. We opened in New York to service customers across the financial services and the rail industry, so the MTA, the Metropolitan Transport Authority, which is the New York subway. We also service Goldman Sachs from an asset management perspective, managing their property portfolio in the cloud. Northern Natural Gas, a Berkshire Hathaway company, so natural gas pipelines across Nebraska and 9 other states. And we then started to look at the interface and what we had. 2001 to 2014, technology changed a lot. User experience on technology changed a lot. And our platform was something that we wanted people to log in and think as modern, as user-friendly. Because ultimately, the platform is only as good as the data that gets put in there. And if the platform's difficult to use, users will just discard it. They've got a million things to do. Their day job within construction is not managing data, it's building things. So we relaunched the platform to a new interface in 2014, and that has been a key differentiator in how we've managed to spread the use of the system and how we've had successful buy-in, not just from the client or the head contractor, but all the way down to the business that turns over £1 million. We then moved our hosting partner to Microsoft Azure, and that was a big differentiator because it allowed us to host our platform in many different regions with many different data security requirements, but it also allowed for speed, mobility, and flexibility. And those are our kind of key visions within the platform of how we want people to have an experience on it. And then we opened our first European office in May 21, but just rolling back before that is when we launched in Turkey with Tolga and Ozan. And I remember meeting Tolga and Ozan in London, and what I was struck by most was their enthusiasm and their passion, and what they brought to London was, for us, a whole perspective on the Turkish construction market that may not have been aware of before they came. And I know they came to London and they looked at a number of vendors, so they were also shopping. And I can safely say, after spending the last couple of days across different customer sites and potential customer sites, it's clear to see that the reputation they have within the Turkish construction market is second to none. People trust them. They've been here. They've done it. They're your ears and eyes on the ground. And I'm really excited to see what happens over the coming years with our partnership together. I think I couldn't appreciate until really hearing it from the horse's mouth what struggles and how the construction industry works differently to, say, for example, the UK. What I have recognized is the agility at which construction companies in Turkey operate is far beyond what I've seen anywhere else. And there's an element of reactiveness and proactiveness to the changing environment. So we sat with somebody on Monday, I believe, who told me that they were building a zoo, and in 60 days it became a public library, because that was the needs of Istanbul. In the UK, we don't see quick reactions like that because we're heavily regulated and there's lots of certifications and compliances that go through before you can make changes. And so when Tolga and Ozan explained to us that agility, speed, we need to work alongside, we can't be slowing down, it's really opened our eyes to see what the potential is here. Now, the comments that have been made to me are things like, yes, the speed is amazing and it means that Turkish contractors and construction companies are really successful, but there's also a need and an appetite to digitize those processes, to provide levels of standardization, customization, configurability, and to manage data in a more orderly fashion. And that's just not for top-level reporting, that's down to delivering efficiencies to people on site. So that's been really interesting, and we've really enjoyed that. And since launching, we have started working the very, very early stages of working with Renaissance and Yapı Marchese, which is super exciting for us, and we've been very privileged to meet both companies here this week. And the future is looking bright. We've spread across the Middle East. We actually did launch there in 2006, but nobody wanted their data on the cloud in 2006 in the Middle East. So we've relaunched, winning some major contracts there. And we're continuing to build out our services teams across the globe. Next year, we hope to have an influx of funding to continue developing the platform. One of the key things is that A-Site is built from the ground up by the same team. So when we lack a feature or a functionality, we often see competitors just purchasing. I'll just purchase the field tool, I'll just purchase the procurement tool, I'll stick it on and I'll package it up and sell it. The difference we've done is that we've built it internally, and therefore every module within the platform speaks to one another. So your data from the tendering stage moves into construction when the project goes live. And I think that, core golden thread of information that we talk about in the UK is a key differentiator, because also for the end user, you need the same interface so they know where they're logging in, they know what they're doing. So yeah, that summarizes hopefully our journey to how we got to this point. And I'm going to hand over for a while to Pietro, who's going to just give you a broad overview on the platform in terms of how the modules are structured and what we can offer you.
Okay, so who is A-Site? We've heard a little bit about our background and our history, but what is our product? So essentially, we're a construction data platform, and we aim to host all of your data from the very beginning of the project, from when you're finding suppliers within our supplier relationship management area, all the way through to your project performance management, where you're uploading your documents, you're doing design reviews, construction reviews, finally all the way to asset management, where you can have your asset registers all stored within the platform, and so on. So what you can see on the left-hand side are our 3 key, what we call product families. And these are the most widely used across our customer base. Now on the right-hand side, you'll see a couple of additional modules that we've recently released, and these are quite new to the market. The first one being A-Site Works. That's essentially a streamlined version of our project portfolio management solution. So it's a simple to use Dropbox-like functionality that supply chains can use to host their data in the cloud. And last but not least, we then have OpenWage. And OpenWage is a financial well-being platform. It allows people on site to draw down from their salary before payday. So if you're 2 weeks away from payday, but you need some money for whatever reason, you're able to deduct 2 weeks of your salary straight from your paycheck ahead of payday. And across the bottom of the screen, you can essentially see all of the functionality that exists within the platform. So what we can do with it, we have our own built-in analytics tool. We can do reporting. We can host Power BI dashboards directly through our platform. And Power BI is a really impressive tool, which everybody seems to be using at the moment. And so on and so forth. I'm just going to go to the next slide. And so you can see a bit more broadly what we actually offer. So again, we're sticking to our 3 main product families, and then below that you can see all of the functionality, which I've just noticed we did not translate into Turkish, so I'll try and talk around them a little bit more. So supply chain management, that allows you to have an Amazon-style list of all of your suppliers. So you can essentially say, I'm looking for a concrete supplier, and you can filter down all of these suppliers within your area. And if you want them to be in a specific region, we've got thousands of suppliers listed within our marketplace tool. You can then host bids within the platform. So you can send out a bid to 10 suppliers for flooring, for example, and you can see who has the best performance when they respond, who has the best price. Moving into project portfolio management, here's where our bread and butter is. So this is our document management. Here's where you can upload your documents, your drawings, your models into the cloud, and you can do design reviews. We have an extremely next to none workflow tool, so you can build your processes directly through the platform, and they can mimic the processes that you use within your business. And within that, we then have digital pro formas, and I'm hoping Ozan might touch on this a bit later on. But it allows you to replicate any forms that you currently use, maybe hard copy forms within the business, and you can convert them digitally. So you can use them on your mobile phone, you can use them on your laptop through the A-Site tool. And last but not least, as I mentioned earlier, asset performance management. So once your project has come to an end, you potentially are handing it over to the asset owner. You can then have all of your documentation stored within this area where you can produce things like asset registers, your incidents, and so on and so on. So, as you can see, we can do a lot with the A-Site platform, but we can't do everything, and we don't want to do everything. And that's where our ecosystem comes in. So our ecosystem is a list of partners that we have globally that allow us to integrate platforms. A huge benefit of the A-Site platform is that it has open-ended APIs. It allows us to push data out of A-Site, and it allows us to pull data from alternative platforms. So using the example I mentioned earlier, having Power BI, without having to log into Power BI, you can see all of your data directly through your A-Site dashboard. To use another one, many people in this room likely use IFS or SAP. So they fully integrate to our platform as well. So it allows you to continue using both platforms, but seamlessly have data flowing between the two. And this list is just growing. I'm now going to hand back over to Jack, who's going to take you through some testimonies.
Yeah. I don't need this.
Double mic.
Yeah. Just to touch a little bit on, I guess, the broad range of types of customers we work with within construction and the built environment. The platform has evolved based on the project type and the customer type, and I think we've worked very hard to deliver a personal service to our customers. So whether you're a contractor delivering a £600 million fit out or an infrastructure customer delivering a large waterworks facility, the platform allows you to set up the project to the specific needs of the project, and that's what Pietro's team is there to do. So you don't sign up with A-Site and just, here's your login, off you go, good luck. It's very much an implementation process that we take you through on the journey. Well, in fact, the Penguin team here will take you through on a journey. So just touching on some of our key construction clients, hopefully there's some recognizable logos across the industry, the likes of Kier, Skanska, Volca Vessels, now Renaissance and Yapim Marchese. We're really big in infrastructure. we've worked really successfully over the last number of years, particularly within the rail and water industry, also mining, Rio Tinto, Severn Trent Water, a large water company within the UK, Northern Natural Gas, as I mentioned. Government has been a really large part of what we do as well. I know PPE schemes have been talked about a lot since we've arrived, and that's something that we've worked on heavily in the UK and Ireland, delivering infrastructure across the UK like our national highways. You've got Transport for London, the London Tube network, using the platform to manage not just the construction, but also the contracts with the supply chain. You know, a contract that we've had since 2007 and continue to work on with them. I know Basar mentioned specifically Deep Tube. We have developed contracts specifically to manage Deep Tube. We've developed contracts to specifically manage JV alliances on large rail projects. So I think that flexibility and that agility to deliver to the needs of the project has meant the A-site platform has spread, because the experience on one rail project allows us to come into the next rail project very well informed as a team of consultants and as a platform, and also as our technology roadmap. Because how the A-site platform is developed is very much the feedback we receive day to day from our customer success teams and our partners who work closely with us. We also work heavily with the construction manager and project managers who advise on projects across the globe, the likes of Arup, KBR, Royal Haskoning. We do a lot in the nuclear sector. Property developers and real estate has been a really key one for us, because a lot of the processes are repeatable. So the likes of Aldar, Barclay Homes, Redrow, we've just signed Barrett Homes, the largest real estate developer in the UK. And also facility owners, and that's really where the platform is looking to evolve further. You've got supply chain at the beginning, the construction phase, and then you're left with the building, and what happens then? Where does the data go? Who manages the building? How do I know when work needs to be done? If there's a renovation, where do the drawings exist? So there's a huge drive from our client base at the moment to develop digital twin. So we've started working with sensory data and bringing in that built smart city environment into the platform as more and more people are asking for that final stage. And obviously we do have people managing it in more of a 2D format as well. And so just to talk about Langer Work specifically, it's a good example of a customer who benefits from the breadth of the platform. So right from supply chain through to facilities management. But it's important to say that you don't need to use A-site for every stage. We're very much here initially to plug the gaps of where the pain points you're feeling are. And so right from managing bespoke pre-qualification forms for supply chain into design and drawing review processes and through into contract management, we're delivering a solution to them that has allowed them to grow and us grow globally as we follow them into the APAC region. A big win for us in recent years is Aldar Properties in the Middle East, one of the biggest actually developer in Abu Dhabi. And these guys are actually really pushing us in the digital twin sphere because they're actually owner-operator of a lot of their real estate. And so we've moved millions of files onto A-site from an existing provider in flight. The projects were in flight. So in terms of, turning off one system one day and turning on A-site another day, that really isn't possible. But we make the transition as easy as possible by providing those services as part, so that the construction teams on site aren't impacted by technology change. Because at the end of the day, nobody has any additional time. And then just on the flip side, on the asset management side, I mentioned earlier Goldman Sachs, who manage their global property portfolio on A-site. So, for example, an office building in Toronto is going to have a renovation or a layout change. So where does that information exist and how does it get updated? They manage this through A-site. So that's another use case, and that's kind of, beginning, middle, and end. And hopefully that kind of shows you the different stages and the different experiences of some of our customers. The other thing that's been really important for our client base globally is our certifications and compliances. There's obviously going to be a level of nervousness around using the cloud. Back in 2001, we were really fighting a losing battle. But I think everybody has started to appreciate the need. And let's be honest, everybody uses the cloud. I'm sure everybody has internet banking on their phone. But we've worked very closely with standards bodies across the globe to ensure that our data is held to the highest certification and security level. So things like ISO 27001 is a standard expected compliance. But things, for example, like the Defence Assurance Risk Accreditation through the Ministry of Defence, we're the only platform provider to hold that, which has allowed us to work on a large nuclear site in the UK. And we did that in order to win the project and to work with the customer. And you should know that if there's requirements within Turkey, we'll be working with Penguin to ensure that your data and the compliances that we need will be met. We have multi-factor authentication, we have data location hosting in different countries, and we're continually working on our security roadmap to ensure highest standards. And we're going to wrap up with just some of our strengths and some of our differentiators, just to leave those in your mind. And I'd like to take this opportunity to say that Pietro and I are here for the rest of the day, and also tomorrow. So if anybody would like to share tea or coffee, ask us any questions, tell us their experiences, we'd really love to hear from you. I'll just let Pietro finish on this slide.
Thanks. So A-Site isn't the only one in the game, as I'm sure a lot of people in this room are aware, but how do we differ from the other suppliers out there? So we've got some strengths on the screen and also some differentiators. So one strength, and a common one, of course, is that platforms like A-Site reduce cost, they reduce time, they reduce effort that it takes, which is all key for all of your projects. That's ultimately how you get money saving across all of your project portfolio. Next is ISO 19650, which may not be as demanded here in the UK, in Turkey, but in the UK, it's a strict regime in terms of how we have to reference our files. Okay. A-Site's highly customizable, I mentioned it earlier, so you can customize your folder structures, your workflow processes so that they meet your business's requirements, and we can also go as far as to customize the actual theme and the look and feel of the A-Site platform, so we can brand it with your business's colors. It's user-friendly, of course. Again, Ozan should be doing a demo a bit later on, so you'll actually see firsthand how user-friendly our platform is, and we've got a team of designers, user experience designers, who essentially ensure that our platform is market-leading. And last but not least, for our strengths, it drives collaboration and efficiency, which that one goes without saying. I'm going to hand over to Jack for our differentiators.
Yeah, just to touch on a few of them. I mean, I just mentioned around highest levels of security and specific certification that we hold, and just emphasizing the importance of that, particularly when delivering sensitive information and projects of a sensitive nature, whether it be health, whether it be defense, whether it be within the education sector. The other thing, which I've also touched on, is the fact that it's fully built by A-Site from the ground up, and that's what we look to continue to do. Some of our key competitors across the regions and across the globe, we've seen a shift whereby they're being swallowed up by large American conglomerates. So I'm sure a lot of you will have heard of the Oracles, the Autodesks of this world. And I think the differentiator is we are on our feet, we're agile, we're listening, and we still have the ability to impact the platform, the roadmap, and how we work with businesses. The flexibility that allows us means that we've been very successful in being able to meet the needs of projects because we can very much impact the direction of change. And we're really looking forward to seeing what Turkey is going to bring to our platform and what types of processes and what types of software that we need to improve on and what we need to build around to deliver to the needs of the region. The end-to-end is really important as well. We have lots of competitors, and particularly we have lots of competitors at different points, so within supply chain, within construction information management, within asset management. We're quite uniquely positioned that you can do the end-to-end within the system. And I think the more solutions that you can minimize and the less data collection that you have to do from different systems improves the quality of the data. At the end of the day, A-Site is the platform, but there's two other really important P's. That's the people who are accessing the data, people who need to make decisions based on the data, and people who are putting the data in. And then also the people that are actually delivering the implementation to allow it to work. That's really important and probably core to our business. And second is the process. So working with the organizations to define process and to put process in place and create some level of standardization. That means setting up a new project is repeatable and we're not spending 3 weeks trying to get it off the ground when it started on site 2 days previous. The others is the regional servers, as I mentioned, the ability to host data and segregate it. Because we're not coming out of the US, we don't have laws that mean that data goes everywhere. We can very much refine it to the region that the data is being used and delivered in. And that can be really important when it comes to winning, particularly government projects, and particularly in developing worlds as well. And then experience delivering multi-party projects. So A-Site's not just for the big guys, it's for all ends of the spectrum. So we can have a contract with Transport for London, for example, and then we have the project contract with Silvertown Tunnel, and then we have contracts with the contractors delivering and contracts with the subcontractors delivering. And what they're benefiting from is one single source of truth, the client's benefiting, the supply chain's benefiting, less time used up in delivering the information, risk is reduced, and hopefully cost is saved. So hopefully that gives you guys a flavor of who we are and what we do. And yeah, as I mentioned, we're around to talk. You're going to be given an all rockstar demo by Ozan of the platform that will will contextualize it in a bit more detail. It's all well and good talking about it, but it's more understandable when you can see and feel the platform. And yeah, looking forward to speaking with some of you during the networking breaks. Thank you so much for your time. We've had an incredible experience so far this week.
Teşekkürler. Thank you.